is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I am your father.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Yes. And you're not sure about this, are you?
You're gonna die, clown!
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? Sam? The most you ever lost on a coin toss. Call it.
Whose motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby.
Bring out today!
This is a tasty burger.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Hello. Welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm Russell.
And I am Ben.
And Ben is back. So, I should probably explain. Sorry, I have to move this thing because... Stay? Okay, cool. So last week's episode, which was episode 52, was a little bit different because Ben and I had previously recorded episode 52, and then your boy Russell may have made a huge error and not done the audio mixing properly, so everything sounded like... It sounded like this. I can't do it. It sounded like I was speaking through like a sponge on the other side of a room. It sounded really weird and muffled and far away.
So now it's just going to be the long lost 52.1 episode.
I think maybe one day I should upload it to YouTube or something. Just upload it to a different spot and be like, here's the episode if you want to hear one that we totally messed up on. Or by we, I mean I totally messed up on. But Ben, do you like my hairstyle, which is Jaime Lannister from season 1 of Game of Thrones?
That is what it looks like. I was like, that's looking good on him, but it looks like something very specific.
Yeah, so
but now that you said that, yes.
This is bad radio, but I will tell you guys what to look up. So look up Jaime Lannister, who the actor is Nikolai Coster-Waldau, is the name of the actor. Jaime Lannister. It'd help if I knew how to spell Jamie right. I knew how to spell Lannister, but not Jamie, which is probably a big issue. Let's see if I can find It's exactly the same.
Yes.
And then the other person who I look or have the similar hair of is this. Have you ever played the game Wolf Among Us?
I've not personally, but I know what you're talking about. His is
sexier than mine.
Well, his is more like slicked back.
Yeah, when my hair gets longer, it will be. So that's kind of the look I'm going for. For all those of you who don't know, I'm growing my hair out. It was very short a while ago, and I am growing it out. So it's probably, Ben, how long do you think my hair is right now? It's like 5-6 inches, maybe more?
I'd say from my best guess, looking through a phone screen, It looks like it could be about 3.5 to 4 inches.
Yeah. The look I'm going for is like this sort of thing, which is just like a picture of like Bradley Cooper with that sort of thing, or like when it's down like that.
Okay.
So like the white Jesus look.
The shaggy... I look like I'm not trying yet,
but
I look dapper as fuck.
Yeah, like I'm not trying, but I clearly am trying really hard. Yeah. That's the look I'm going for.
Yeah. And my hair growth is happening on the opposite side of the head.
Yeah, you're getting the beard.
I'm going for the yeared.
Oh, you are?
I'm going to try.
Dude, you 100% should.
With a little bit of upkeep on the neck area.
Yep.
Like I want to keep that in check.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm going to let this bitch just fucking grow.
You should. You 100% should. I kind of want to. I think once, for those of you who don't know, I have a job now, guys. It's official. But maybe I'll do it there. I don't know. My beard right now is probably at like a 1 or a 2 if you're buzzing your head. So it's like not stubble, but like, what would you call this? Like my length?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if there's an exact term for it, but it's exactly what you said, not stubble.
Yeah, it's not stubble, but it's not like a beard. Like, you don't need to comb it or you don't need to brush it at this length, where it's like, so if a 5 o'clock shadow is one day, this is like a week, but I keep shaving it to this length. So I have clippers that are this length, so every like 4 days I just rebuzz it back to this thing, which gives me the illusion of a jawline and a chin, which is really, really nice, because those are two things I don't have. Yeah, so because my face is the shape of an egg. I have zero contour in my face, and it is just like if you had an egg and then you put a human face on top of that.
Mine even more so, because I don't have any hair to like on top of my head to define the or to kind of like make a geometric shape. Mine is more just like the round ass egg. Yeah.
What would happen if you did grow your hair? Because you have like like buzz it all the way to the skin.
Oh, I use a razor.
Oh, you use it?
Yeah, I shave it.
Oh, wow.
But if I were to let it grow, it would just be like that kind of like male pattern baldness where it's just like the horseshoe.
Oh, the George Costanza?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That's a sexy look. Some people go for it, you know? That and the mustache, now you're talking.
I can see myself maybe in like 20 years not giving a shit and like growing out the Hulk Hogan, because like he always wears the bandana.
Yeah, and then
underneath there's nothing.
See, yeah, also, I mean, you have a daughter. She's very young, but 15, 20 years, you're going to want to be that scary looking dad who, like, when she, like, brings a special someone home, you're like, who the hell are you?
Yep, while cleaning my gun, coincidentally.
Yeah, you're just, like, cleaning your gun and your samurai swords. You're like, oh, hello. I didn't see you there. And it's
Here, put this apple on top of your head. I have some aiming to do.
Yeah, honestly, there's that. I think it was like Mark Wahlberg in a movie. If someone in a movie said, whatever you do to my daughter, I'm going to do to you. And I'm like, that's super funny. Like, that's like the funniest, like, intimidation line.
I think my favorite, like, parent to son taking their daughter out is from Bad Boys 2.
Okay.
Martin Lawrence and Will Smith just intimidating the shit out of this Reggie kid. It's hilarious. Oh,
those things are the best. Sorry, if you can hear that like jingling, it's my dogs going up the stairs. But I am in the room where it's probably the most quiet room in the house. But yeah, we should probably talk about the big news that happened this week, Ben. The passing of a legend.
Yeah. Of course, I was going to say that doesn't narrow it down in our current world. Lots of news happens, but yeah, this one in particular, it's a bit of a downer.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it like in episode like 5 of the podcast. I said it. The day Stan Lee dies is going to be a very sad day for me and many other people. And sorry, I'm about to move the desk. I'm sorry. It's on top of one of the cables. Okay, cool. Hopefully that didn't sound too loud.
I hardly heard anything.
Okay, cool. But yeah, Stan Lee passed away, guys. Ben, do you want to explain who Stan Lee is for the one person listening who doesn't know who that is?
Of course. I'm going to go ahead and assume that everyone listening to this does know who Stan Lee is. Stan Lee is he was, excuse me, he was the creator. He's basically the guy from Marvel Comics. Mm-hmm. He created the X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man. Basically, he's responsible for the current, like in a down the road kind of way. Like, I'm sure he didn't see this coming from when he first created these characters back when he first did. Yeah. But I mean, he is responsible for the wave of like superhero movies and kind of like how those are the biggest blockbusters of all time now. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, Spider-Man, X-Men, like these are some of the like the greatest comic book characters ever. Yeah, he also did Black Panther and the Hulk. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so basically, we lost a legend of pop culture, not just in comic books, but just all around. Like, and of course, if you've seen a Marvel movie in the past since Iron Man, you've seen Stan Lee because he's had a cameo in all of them. Yeah, was he not cameoed in? Also, wait, before that, Jack Kirby did the illustrations for a lot of those and helped with the design. So give some love to Jack Kirby, who also, I believe, passed away.
I believe Jack Kirby did pass away, but there was some legal stuff between them. I don't know enough to talk about on the show, but I know there was some legal back and forth with Marvel and those two, and rights and movie distribution stuff, but I don't know about that enough to comment. But I know there was something, and someone's going to say something about it. I don't exactly know the logistics behind it, but I know Stan Lee, when the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies came out, the Tobey Maguire ones, he sued Marvel, or he sued the studio. I do know that. There was a lawsuit involved. And he was given $10 million because he wasn't like credited in the credits or something. But yeah, if you've seen a Marvel movie, he's in it. But was he in the X-Men movies? Like, has he been featured as like one of the little cameos?
Now that I think about it, since those were 20th Century Fox movies, and not like with the Marvel Cinematic Universe that started with Iron Man, I would have to go back and watch. I don't remember him being in any of those.
He's in Spider-Man 2. I do know that. There's a scene where Peter Parker's in Times Square, and then next to him is Stan Lee, who gives him a little piece of advice and then walks away. And that was before the whole Stan Lee cameo became a thing that people looked out for. They're like, oh, where's Stan Lee going to be in the movies?
Right.
And I heard a rumor that Marvel knew that, unfortunately, the end was coming near for Stan. And they recorded like 15 or 20 other extra moments where he does his cameos so they can filter them into the other movies.
Wow.
And like, I think somehow, I don't know if they own his rights or the lookalike, the likeness, but I'm sure there's some sort of licensing where they can have him in a picture, because in like Daredevil and Jessica Jones, when they're in the police station, he's the picture on the wall of like the police chief is Stan Lee. It's one of those like Easter egg things that people pointed out.
Apparently, according to IMDb, he was in the first X-Men movie.
What?
As a hot dog vendor.
Interesting. I'll have to go back. I've seen X-Men 2, the good one with Nightcrawler. The best one, yeah. I've seen that one a lot. I don't think I've ever seen the first one more than once or twice. Then the opening scene of the first X-Men movie at Auschwitz, that's a really rough scene with Magneto as a kid.
Yeah. It's a good scene, though. It's a good little background, like, kind of pace setter for, like, what's about to come, like, and, like, Magneto's intentions and, like, kind of his character, like, how he's basically going to be viewing society.
Yeah, it really is. I love those movies. The third one's a little silly, but it's still good. The third X-Men movie is better than... People are going to get upset. The third X-Men movie is better than Thor: The Dark World, which is probably the worst of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
I'd say outside of Ant-Man, Thor is the one... Like, Thor, the series, is probably the one I have the least connection to, because I have not seen The Dark World. I barely remember the first Thor, though Ragnarok is amazing. I do love that movie.
I mean, Taika Waititi, as we talked about on the Lost episode, is a comic genius. And he plays Korg, who's the rock guy, or the rock creature alien in Thor Ragnarok. And that character, whenever he's on screen, definitely steals the show. Like, it's just, Taika Waititi's so charismatic where it's just infectious when you see him on screen.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so Ben, I have some I think we're going to go down a rabbit hole this week on the show. Are you more of an innie or outie belly button guy? Let's talk belly buttons.
Like, do I have a preference for other people?
That's not what I asked, Ben. Are you an innie or outie belly button guy?
Oh, me personally?
No, man. You can answer that in whatever way you see fit.
Oh, my most honest answer is I could care less.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I had to choose between one of those two, any, I guess?
See,
like, it doesn't matter.
I'm an anomaly. I have an outie belly button. Like, it's not like an outie, but I have an innie belly button with a little outie piece in it. So it's like I have an innie belly button. I mean, it's a podcast, but there's like a little outie bit inside my innie belly button if you go digging. It's crazy.
So, like where the umbilical cord got snipped. or fell off rather, because those do fall off after. So something just didn't fall off quite right.
Yeah, and I have a little tiny little thing. Yeah, so
Weird.
yeah, no, it's very strange. It's a fun fact. I should probably, at my next like icebreaker, I should be like, guys, I have a weird belly button. But you wouldn't know if you just looked at me like without my shirt on. It wouldn't look like anything. But if you do some spelunking in my belly button, you find a little surprise.
You gotta get real personal to find that out.
Yeah. Ben, are you a chest manscaper?
No, it's all natural there.
See, the only part of my chest, I'm not a chest manscaper. Also, I have very little chest hair. I have enough that it's not embarrassing. But I only manscape around my nipples because those hairs get weird. And I used to be a lifeguard and stuff. You don't want those weird nipple hairs, man. You gotta manscape around them nipples.
Does that not look like weird? Like you have like normal hair everywhere, but then just like bare nipples?
You would think so, but I have very light chest hair, and my chest hair is only in the middle between like my pecs, and it goes up. It almost is like wings, so it goes in the middle and then up kind of on my shoulders, but it's really light. It's like Smeagol, where it's like really light hair, and it's kind of just like.
Okay.
And my hair is naturally like on my head. Yeah, it's like brown, but like as you can see, I have no arm hair. Like
That's very, very, very faint.
Yeah, and my legs, like I have hair on my legs, but the rest of my hair on my body is like blonde, so it's really faint anyway. Except the hair on my nipples is black, and that's why I get rid of it. It looks really weird. And it's really thick. I have like thick nipple hair, guys, and you wanted to know about that. I'm sure one person who listens was like, I wonder what Russell's nipple hair is like. Now you know. It's gone.
You sick fuck.
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you want to know about my nipple hair, just ask, dude. It's not that awkward, I'll tell you. Would you ever get laser hair removal surgery?
I don't really feel the need to. Honestly, like I don't have any like kind of anomalous hair growth anywhere where I feel like it's embarrassing enough.
Yeah, I feel like if I had a hairy back, then I would think about it.
Okay. Luckily, I don't have that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, this is weird. Have you ever seen the movie The Other Guys with Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
When they're at, like, his ex-wife Christina's house or his ex-girlfriend, he's like, you might think because of the beard, I'm really hairy. Nope. Shaved. It's like that. And I'm like, nice. Did I tell you I saw that guy when I was out in LA on Hollywood Boulevard?
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know the name of that actor. I could probably look it up, but he's the bald guy with the beard. And it was me and my roommates were walking to a bar actually called Mama's Place. Shout out to Mama's Place and the rooftop bar. It's sweet. So we were walking there. It's actually it's a hotel, so they don't there's not like a wait outside to get in. There's no cover either. So that's why we kept going there, because everywhere in Hollywood has a cover of like $10 or more. And I'm like,
right,
dude, I don't want to pay a cover to pay for overpriced drinks. So we went to Mama's, but that guy who plays her name is Christineth. Like, get my wife's name right. That guy, we saw him, and he walked past us, and he was with some other person. And I turned around, and I was like, her name's Christineth. And he turned around and gave me a finger gun. And I'm like, yes, it was him. And it made my night. I was like, hell yeah. But yeah, that's my story about whoever that is and how that ties back into my life. Not just being a really, really funny movie. That The Other Guys is incredible. I think that's a sleeper hit comedy.
I think it went a bit under. Well, it was noticed. It wasn't like it didn't go completely off the grid or anything like that. But because it didn't hit the levels of silliness that say Talladega Nights or Anchorman did, it did have more of a serious message to it. And I mean, obviously, it was still silly and it was a fun movie, but hitting all the kind of the Wall Street corruption, parts of the story, and especially the credit sequence at the end, going through all those statistics, Adam McKay was a little bit you know what, I have something to say here.
Yeah, and you even can tell that from the beginning, with the one of the opening scenes is them at the stock market and they hit the button, and it just gets it's not heavy-handed serious, but like you're saying, there is something for them to say there. And I think that's what also makes the movie good, is because there's like something to ground the film on. It's not just like Talladega Nights, yeah, it's funny, but that movie in a lot of ways doesn't age well, where I think the other guys will age a lot better, because it's also a buddy cop movie, which I'm a huge sucker for buddy cop movies. I love them so much. That if I did like have a genre of like comedy that I love buddy cop stuff. That's why I love the show Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's kind of an underrated show. So funny.
I was incredibly happy to see that got picked back up by NBC.
Yeah, Fox dropped it in the same day, like within the same hour, NBC picked it up.
Because they knew, like, it's got such a big following.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I never looked at the ratings, but Fox had some sort of justification for dropping it, whatever that might be. But yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
It really is. It's a sleeper hit. Actually, I think I know why Fox dropped it. So, Fox got bought by Disney, right? And their logical for getting bought by Disney and why they justified the thing, besides getting like $10 billion or whatever the amount traded was so they could focus on sports and news more. I'm not kidding. So I think when they traded to Disney, I think it was probably someone high up on the Disney side was like, I don't like this. And they probably dropped that show from their like criteria. And then instantly NBC jumps on it because they see it as a gold mine. And I think Disney just has too much on their plate because they own Hollywood now. So yeah.
I think some of the, or at least one of the production companies for Brooklyn Nine-Nine was Universal. Mm-hmm. And NBC and Universal right there. So yeah. they might as well take it up there.
Exactly. And I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I'm not sure about the filming locations, but a lot of the exterior B-roll shots are in New York. So, and I know Andy Samberg, I think, still lives in New York. And I know Terry Crews lives in New York and has a place in LA as well. So I'd guess they actually film it out in New York, which would be cool because a lot of TV shows, I mean, yeah, there are shows that film in New York, but most of them film in LA but fake it. Like the show Shameless, I think they film part of it here in Chicago because like the house in Shameless and a lot of the exterior shots are in Chicago. Like they film at University of Chicago, they film downtown, but I think the inside of the house or the inside of the bar is in LA and then the back of the bar is in New York. So they like kind of piece it together.
Yeah, it would make sense that at least part of it is on a soundstage in LA.
Yeah, just because I'm sure it saves money, and you have all these big actors in it now, and they're in their writers on their contracts. They probably say every season you have to pay us another 15% or something.
Right. Something I'm very excited about with Brooklyn Nine-Nine going to NBC. Yeah, it's going on their Thursday night block, which is also going to be paired with The Good Place. Have you ever watched The Good Place?
My mom has. I've seen, I think, maybe 3 episodes. I do enjoy it.
It's becoming one of my favorite shows on TV.
Really?
It's such a funny show, and if you're into philosophy, that show is all about like different aspects of philosophy and philosophers and stuff like that, and it spins it into comedy gold. That's really the best thing I could say about it. I would highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, I should get more into it. There's a lot of network shows that people have told me about, like that are like normal network shows as well as like premium network shows. Like I've never seen Westworld. I know, and that's one of those ones that's like a network because HBO is a network. I've never seen that. I've never seen Vikings, and people say those 2 shows are incredible. And those are ones I need to get around to.
I haven't gotten into Vikings yet, just because, like, we're in an age of television where we have a gluttony of shows that we can watch.
Yeah.
And so, it's easy to miss out on 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, like, I started watching Mr. Robot, but I think when it started, Dexter was still on the air, so I was watching Dexter instead. And then my old roommates were super big into Mr. Robot, like super big into it. So I saw a few episodes with them, and it's really, really quite well done cinematography-wise, which is something that like draws me in. And I might start getting into it also because Rami Malek is in it, and he's incredible. So
Yeah, I've only watched the first season of that. I really need to. It's so damn hard. I'm still on Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have other shit coming up. I got TV shows I got to get caught up on. Like, there's just never enough time, Russell.
Yeah, there isn't. And I mean, I still don't have a PS4, but I've been playing Far Cry 5 quite a bit. For my job, I do videography and video editing. So that takes up a lot of my time at home because I do it remotely. But when I'm not doing that, like after this podcast, I never eat dinner before the show because I'm an idiot. I was actually just editing a video for tomorrow, but after this, I'm going to cook some food and play Far Cry 5 because you've played it too.
Yeah, it's a really fun game.
It is really fun, and it might be one of the most detail-oriented games I've ever played. Like, there's like little things about the game, like where guns in theory can jam. Like when you reload a gun, you actually take the magazine out, throw it on the ground, and go behind your back and pick up another one. And I think those like little animations, little details, like when you're like crouched or when you're like running, you like can hear yourself panting. And I think like those kind of things are really cool.
Yeah, I hate to keep beating a dead cowboy horse, but
no, it's cool. Red Dead.
Yeah, Red Dead. The amount of detail in that. You're literally, if you are riding a male horse and you ride it into cold weather, its nuts will constrict and expand depending on the temperature of the weather. Like, that is detail oriented.
Yeah, I actually played Red Dead for the first time last week. One of my buddies brought his PS4 over. Yo, that game is so cool. I had Red Dead Redemption, the first one, on my Xbox, and that game was incredible. It was probably one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. Red Dead Redemption 2, like the 5 minutes into me playing it, he left, maybe it was Blackwater, or it was like a small town. No. What is the industrial city? Like the one with the factory and like there's big factories and it's like very city.
Yeah, Saint Denis.
Yeah.
It's like kind of the makeshift like New Orleans in the game.
So whatever the nearest village is on the railroad track, like if you go up the railroad, the next village up, that's a smaller town. There's a mission where you have to chase a guy through a train, and then he goes on top of the train, and stuff happens. But we were in that town, and my buddy was like, "Hey, dude, just like take your horse and walk around through the wilderness. Here are the controls. Here's how you do like your slow motion aim, all that, like the dead shot stuff." Mm-hmm. And 5 seconds into playing, I was leaving town. There's a guy who was like, "Hey, can you help me like with my horse?" And I get off my horse to help him because my buddy, the way he's designing his character is to be a good guy, and have people help him and just get that kind of reputation. I get off my horse. I look at him. The horse bucks him in the head and kills him. And I'm like, "What? Like, is that supposed to happen?" And my buddy's like, "Yeah, that just happens in this game." And then, like, we found like the clan, like that's a thing in the game. You can find the clan, and I had to go and kill the clan. Like you just gotta.
The next time you play it, I would say when you run into the clan, just let them do their thing for a little bit. Oh. They're fucking bumbling buffoons, and some of the shit that they do to themselves is hilarious.
Really?
But then after they do that, and then kill them all.
Whatever. Yeah. I had a bunch of the dead shot, like slow motion aim stuff built up, and I'm like, I have a rifle, I have this, time to go digitally destroy some clan members. And it is so cool. And it's cool how characters respond in different ways, where some characters will try to fight you and other people just run. And my buddy's like, "Dude, you have to go get those guys. They're going to notify people, and then you're going to be in trouble." And like, if you're out at night, you can get attacked by wolves. Like, yeah, it's more of like a cowboy simulator than it is like a game where it's just like enjoyable. There's like stress to be had in that game where you like have to eat food and you do things, otherwise your health is affected. Your horse's health can get affected. Your hair grows in real time, which I think is really cool. Yeah, that game, there's not enough cool things about that. Like when you get like you fall off your horse or something else, your jacket gets ripped. Like those little things are so cool. And
yeah, it's a game I'm still deep in the middle of. I don't even think I'm halfway through the entire story of it yet, but just because there's so many side things to do, like hunting, gathering food for your camp.
Yeah.
It seems like there's an endless amount of stuff to do, but it's so far, in my opinion at least, none of it is like repetitive or boring yet.
Yeah, I played probably like 7 or 8 hours ish, because my buddy stayed for like 2 days, because I was house sitting and stuff. And I'm the kind of guy who will play video games very selectively, and then get bored of them if it doesn't really hold my attention. But Rockstar games, as well as like Bethesda, so Skyrim and Fallout, those kind of things, and Far Cry, which is Ubisoft, yeah. Those kind of games really hold my attention in a big way, where you like the world feels as if it is real and you're just like kind of stumbling into it, instead of a world that feels like it is designed around you. And I don't like that. I like feeling like I'm a piece of something and you have to work your way into becoming a formidable force in this world. Because when you get plopped into a game and you're the hero, you're the chosen one, I don't know, I just lose part of that like invested interest in the narrative.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It's just, you pretty much explained it the best way that I can think of, is that there's something to be said about like being pushed or being like planted in the middle of this world, finding your way in it, and making what you want to be out of making yourself to be what you want to be within this world.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool. And it's really, really impressive when a game does it so well that you don't realize it's doing it well. It's one of those things like editing for videos, where it's like an invisible art form, where if you're doing your job really well, or like with visual effects, no one knows you've done your job well. It's just when you do your job really poorly, people see it. And same with like video game stuff. If you can craft a perfect video game, no one knows. They just see it as, wow, this is amazing. But there's like a billion moving pieces that are taking place to make that game what it is.
Yeah, the recognition comes once the game is finished.
Yeah.
And then maybe even farther down the line of you playing the next game like within your queue, and realizing like what missing that was present in the game that you just played.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think GTA 5 is a perfect game by any means. I played GTA 5 quite a bit. I've stopped in recent like months, in the last year or so. I've kind of taken a break from it, but I can't wait to see what GTA 6 is going to look like, knowing that Red Dead 2 looks the way it does. GTA 6 is going to be too real.
Yeah, it's hard to even think about what they're going to do with that. And, obviously that's going to be a next generation game. It's not going to be on PS4 or Xbox One.
No.
Because, I mean, surely Rockstar is in production with it, if not like the early stages of writing, getting stuff down to, start going full speed ahead with it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, even though I haven't finished Red Dead, I'm looking forward to just hearing some news on GTA 6, like what the setting's going to be.
Yeah.
Because, they've done, in the past 2 installments, they've done Liberty City and San Andreas. I would love for them to go back to Vice City.
Yes, I want to see Miami again. For people who aren't big into Grand Theft Auto, it is Liberty City is New York City, and Los Santos is Los Angeles. And Hollywood is Vinewood. So GTA 5 takes place in LA, GTA 4 is New York, and then Vice City is Miami. And I think if they did Miami, it'd be really cool, because there's a lot you can do with Miami with the current technology. Like GTA Vice City, incredible game. Technologically speaking, it is very dated.
Of course, because that was two generations of console ago.
Yeah, and I could see that. I think I could see them doing Las Vegas as well.
Vegas would be cool. Though, they did do kind of a version of Vegas with San Andreas on PS3.
Yeah, they did.
So they have done that. I think if they do Vice City with the size of the map that was on GTA 5, I think they would have to expand it beyond Vice City to like maybe have like a version of Cuba since it's so close, and maybe some of like the swamplands in Florida.
Ooh, that would be really, really cool.
Because at this point, with with Red Dead and how GTA 5 was expanding so much of a large map, almost to like an entire county's worth of shit to do, like you have to keep that size now. You can't shrink back down to just the simple Vice City area. I mean, they could maybe, and I guess I would have cautious optimism that they would be able to pull it off well. But I think I still want that large map and lots of different activities to do.
I think the only way they could get away with a smaller map on GTA 6 or whatever they call it is if you make every single building enterable. Like, you can walk into any building, and you make destructible environments. Like, if you crash a car into a building, the building will respond by cracking, and you can break windows in any building. If they did that, you could make the map smaller.
I can see that happening. That would take a lot of computing power.
But in theory, if they did want to go that route where they just didn't make the map as expansive, but they wanted to make like one city like real, like a simulation of a city, then I think that's how they could change it. But Red Dead's map is like 1 billion miles. It's like the size of Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as big as or it might be like right about the same size as GTA 5.
Oh, okay.
I think I could be wrong on that. I thought I read somewhere that it's not the biggest world map like any game has ever done, but there's so much to do. There's so many little nooks and crannies in each part of this map that like I haven't even wandered off on my own out west to see what's out there. Like I'm still rocking like the kind of the foresty mountain areas and the swampy areas in the deep south.
Yeah, when I played, I was only in that area, and my buddy who came over, he, like, that part of the map, he didn't even discover it, so it's blank. There's just nothing there in his, and I'm like, what is out there? He's like, I have no clue. And I thought that was really cool that GTA, I think, does the same thing. When you first play, the map is blank until you go to the spot, and then it will populate itself there.
Right, and the good thing, though, is, like, unlike the previous, like, GTA 3 and 4, it doesn't restrict you from moving into those areas at all, which I really appreciated. Like, if you just want to go fuck around on your own, have at it. Go discover what you want to discover. It doesn't, keep you from, it doesn't force you to play the main story to get that far along the map.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like, I'll go back to Far Cry, where it encourages exploration in a very, like, subliminal way, where the game is pushing you to go do shit, but it doesn't tell you need to go do shit. It's just being like, hey, there's a big world right there, and we'll leave you up to your own devices. You can choose to do the campaign, which may forward your progress, like, level-wise, but once you're done with that, there's still a big world, and the campaign is more of a vehicle to get you to explore. It's kind of like a push in that direction. Yeah,
and one thing I actually really appreciate about Far Cry 5 is they did away with the climb the tower, unlock that part of the map, like as far as like visualizing it on the map, like aspect that Ubisoft is just known to do ever since like well, maybe even the first Far Cry, but definitely since like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, what did Far Cry 1 come out before Assassin's Creed?
I want to say yes.
Okay, it probably did. I think Far Cry 1 was on the Xbox. Yeah, it was. It was definitely just on the Xbox, and then Assassin's Creed, because Far Cry 1 was the CryEngine one, which became Crysis. And then that's where Far Cry and they like branched off, and they have like, it's kind of like they have the same parent, but they've like taken different paths. But yeah, the one thing I wish Far Cry had was a third-person mode. But I know that's the gimmick of Far Cry, where it's like a simulation, so you're always in first person, which makes the game exceptionally difficult, because you don't have a full field of view. You only have what's in front of you.
Yeah, and with Red Dead, I haven't even tried to do
The first
person with that.
Yeah.
Just because I enjoy seeing the character I've created, like his clothing that he's put on. Currently, mine has huge locks of hair and a gigantic beard.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I cannot be bothered to shave or go to a barber.
yeah, that's the same in The Witcher 3, which I played a lot of. Geralt's hair will grow in real time. Like if you shave him like really like clean cut after you play for a number of hours, he'll go back to having a beard and the long like ponytail that you recognize when you see Geralt from The Witcher. Speaking of which, Henry Cavill had the first pictures released of him as Geralt for the Netflix show.
He looks pretty decent in the role.
Yeah, he does. I was super surprised. Like the costume especially looks really high quality. Like Netflix is putting money into it,
Which they should, because they have all of the money.
yeah. I think that show, The Witcher, The Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien thing that Amazon is doing, and the Game of Thrones spin-off, which I think they're calling The Long Night, are going to all compete against each other. They're going to be like in the same, like they're coming out around the same time, and they're all going to be direct competitors for each other.
Do you think that's going to be to their advantage or detriment for each of them? Like, is that going to be an oversaturation of like the fantasy genre?
I think, yeah, I think that's an interesting thing because when you think of like those movies, like when The Prestige and The Illusionist came out, or like Deep Impact and Armageddon, you only remember one of them usually.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen with these shows. I think people are betting on the Game of Thrones spin-off to be that thing, but I personally think it will be the Lord of the Rings one, or the Tolkien-averse one, partially because the Lord of the Rings, I think, has more goodwill behind it than Game of Thrones does.
Yeah, and I think of those three, if there's going to be one that's left behind, it's going to be The Witcher, because it doesn't have the established fan base outside of the gaming community.
Yeah,
and maybe those people that read the original novels.
Yeah, and those books are from like Germany or Poland. They're European books, and
Yeah.
I heard over there it's a really big deal. Like that is really big, but that's in Germany and Poland, and that I don't think it translated the same way to the American audience. Even though the games are really cool and quite good, actually. I think The Witcher may be one of those like cult sleeper hits that people discover later. Like, oh my god, dude, you should totally watch The Witcher. And like, yeah, bro, it's on season 3. Kind of like how Westworld, in a lot of ways, has been in the shadow of Game of Thrones.
Right. It's that similar kind of prestige drama. Just and the lots of different story roads to go down to. I think that Westworld, especially in season 2, it's definitely takes a lot more effort to really understand the branching storylines and kind of like get a grasp of like what is happening at what point in time. But they, in my opinion, they did bring it all back together to make it make sense at the end of season 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I'm a pretty big fan of Westworld.
I actually think I might start Westworld tonight if I'm not playing Far Cry. It's one of those things that every time, like on the podcast, when we bring it up, I'm like, I should totally get into it. I know Anthony Hopkins is in it, and a lot of other incredibly famous, really good actors. And people are like, excuse me, people always say that the show is so good. Excuse me, I keep burping. Sorry. But yeah, that is really good. And then there's like a bunch of things on Netflix recently that have come out that have been recommended to me really highly. And I'm like, there's so much right now out there.
If you want something that you can get through in a weekend,
yeah,
I would say the first 2 seasons of The Good Place are on Netflix.
Okay.
And there's only 13 episodes per season. It's a half-hour comedy. You can get through that like one season in a night.
Yeah, you know what? That sounds like a really good idea, because that's like something that's lighthearted. It's easy. It's an easy watch. It's not like I'm sure Westworld is, or definitely Game of Thrones, where you have to, like, you almost have to take notes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm one of the weird people. Yes, I read the books. So watching the show, I know what's going on. I know who Brienne is. I know who Jaime is. I know who the Hound is. Like, all these things where I can watch the show with a friend and they're like, wait, who's that? And why are they here? And why does this guy look like this? I thought this was happening. Why is the girl with the dragons here? Like, that whole thing. And I'm like, bro, you have missed like a whole season's worth of stuff. Get it together. And yeah. And so I have a question. So if you were in the world of Tolkien or in the world of Westeros, so if you're in Middle Earth or in Westeros, so high fantasy, what do you think you would be?
I think probably just naturally like a working class peasant.
Yeah, I'd probably be a peasant.
Just statistically, I mean, it would be, a 1 in a million chance that I was born into like the Lannisters,
Yeah,
or any other kind of royal family within Westeros, or even Middle Earth or anything like that. Yeah, I would just kind of be some like random back of the fucking crowd character. Like,
oh, it's same.
Nothing.
I think if we're talking Lord of the Rings, I'm a way bigger Tolkien fan than I am George R.R. Martin, even though I think George R.R. Martin is a genius. I love George R.R. Martin. I love Game of Thrones, but I grew up on Tolkien. If I was, I mean, thinking that I was a human, but realistically, I'd probably end up being a hobbit, just based on my personality. I'd probably just be in the Shire and have like, I don't know, if I was in the Shire, I'd probably just be like one of those hobbits who works at the Prancing Pony and just like hangs out there all the time. I feel like that's who I would turn out to be. Or I'd be one of the like hobbits that's obsessed with fireworks. When Gandalf comes in, he's like, dude, there's fireworks and it's Bilbo's 111th birthday. We're going to throw a big party. And yes, I'm also one of the people who've read all the Lord of the Rings books and the Silmarillion. So, yeah, I'm a weird person who's wasted a lot of time doing that. Yeah.
I wanted to get into something you sent a few days ago. I don't know if you prepared for this or not, but the 2 truths and a lie.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Because I've got mine prepared.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared to tell the backstories to these 2 truths as well.
Yeah. So, go for it. I want you to go first.
Okay. So, here's my 3 statements. And for anybody that's like, what the hell is 2 truths and a lie? Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. Russell and I are going to each tell or say 2 things that, of these 3 statements, 2 of them will be true. 1 of them will be a fabrication. And the other has to decide which one is the lie.
Yes. So, yeah, that's how it works. It's pretty simple. You guys will catch along as it goes, or figure it out, or I don't even know what the statement is anymore. But you guys will learn the thing pretty quick. It's not hard.
We have smart listeners. You'll get it.
Yeah, our listeners are probably smarter than us. So, yeah.
All right, so I will go ahead and go first. All right, my first statement. I am a distant relative of both Daniel Boone and Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
My second statement. I've accidentally shot myself with a handgun.
Okay.
And 3. I've punched a donkey in the face.
Okay. I think I don't know, I could kind of see all of those being you.
I don't know what that says about me.
No, it's if anything, it's just a compliment. I think that you didn't shoot yourself.
That's correct.
Okay, because you totally would have brought that up to me, like, in our friendship. You're like, dude, guess what happened one time? I shot myself. And I'd be like, what the actual fuck? Like, you can't just drop that on someone and say, like, oh yeah, this is a thing. But yeah, so I have one. I'm distantly related to Abraham Lincoln. I'm adopted. And my mom's cousin wrote 6 Degrees of Separation.
Well, I know for a fact you're adopted
Yes.
because you've mentioned that in our friendship and on the pod before.
Mm-hmm.
Distantly related to Abraham Lincoln. That's like the exact same thing I said. So could that or could that not be true?
Mm-hmm.
And that you said your mom's cousin?
Yeah, so my mom's cousin, like my mom's family, a lot of them live in Ireland. So my mom's cousin wrote 6 Degrees of Separation, which is the whole, like, you know everyone on the planet through 6 people.
I'm going to say you are not related to Abraham Lincoln.
You're right, it's only because I'm adopted.
That's exactly, because I know exactly where you come from, and I'm like, I don't think he has any relation in that part of the world.
Yeah, so the reason, so there's a truth behind that. My Aunt Kate, the one, my Uncle Morgan, who's the guy associated with Purdue, there's somehow that they are somehow connected to Mary Todd Lincoln.
Okay.
So that's like the one thing, and I'm not because I'm adopted, so that gave away the answer. But my mom's cousin did write 6 Degrees of Separation. You can look it up. It is real. Like, he did write it. So that's like one of those dumb claim to fame moments where it's like, oh yeah, I'm adopted, so technically I'm not related to him. But
right.
I mean, through family, of course I am. But yeah.
Yeah. I have to take a quick break.
No, do what you have to do.
When I come back, I'm going to explain my donkey punching story.
Okay.
And the other truth. So we'll be right back.
Okay. And we're back from commercial break. Ben, how are you?
Everything's good.
Okay.
I had to settle down some wily children.
No, it's fine. It's part of the show. I think almost every show that we do, there are wily children, and I think our audience learns to love it because it shows that you're a real person and a good dad, and that's what matters here, Ben.
Yeah, we don't catch me on audio yelling at my children like, I'm trying to get a podcast done. Go back to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a weird look for the show. So, I mean, if you want to go in that direction, we can totally go in that direction. But I think our audience may change with that.
Yeah, I think I'll skip out on that direction.
Yeah. So, donkey kicking or donkey punching. And donkey punch is also the name of another thing that if you guys don't know what donkey punch is, go on Urban Dictionary and get yourself educated. So
yeah, indeed. So when I was in the military, I was stationed down in San Angelo, Texas, for about 7 months or so. In part of the Air Force's like core values, they encourage like volunteerism, blah blah blah. And so one of the things I volunteered for was to go like help this ranch hand, or be like kind of a ranch hand down in this donkey kind of, what's the word I'm thinking of, sanctuary, to where they bring in like wild donkeys, domesticated, well, like farm donkeys that have been abused and stuff like that. And it's like one of the world's, I think it's like the US's largest donkey sanctuary, and maybe like the second largest one in the world. But yeah, I was located just outside of San Angelo, Texas. So I went there for a day. One of the things I was tasked to do was put down some hay bales in the middle of these giant fields with like hundreds of donkeys just kind of grazing around. Mm-hmm. The hay bales are they're bound together with twine. I go up to the hay bale, cut the twine off. It kind of loosens up the hay for them to eat it. The donkeys have been through this kind of process so many times that they start to like swarm the hay bale.
Oh,
like,
okay,
as soon as it gets dropped off by a tractor.
Yeah, they know.
So kind of like they know feeding time.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, like kind of the head rancher, he explains to me like what's going to happen. Like they're going to start like swarming the hay bale. He's like, "Don't be afraid. That's they're not going to kill you or anything. They're just like they're hungry. They will leave you alone. There's nothing to be worried about."
Yeah.
So I take him at his word. I'm like, okay, cool. So I cut one of these hay bales, twine, let it loose. Like he said, the donkeys start swarming around me. Mm-hmm. They kind of just like the most physical they are with me is they just kind of like nudge me out of the way because I'm in between them and their food.
Yeah.
and so I'm just kind of like standing there watching. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. I've never been in the middle of a like swarm of 100 donkeys before. It's like how many people can say this? Blah blah blah. One of those kind of self reflective, like, well, here's where my life has went. And so I'm like kind of just observing. One of these donkeys is just kind of like fixated on me, and he kind of just kind of like looked at me, kind of just, I think maybe waiting for me to maybe like give him a pet or something like that. So he kind of like starts to like sniff at my like stomach and belly, my belly area, and he kind of like his little big ass teeth start to rear out, and he's kind of like nibbling at my kind of like muffin top almost, I guess you would call it, that area of the torso.
Yeah.
Starts to kind of like nibble at it, and it's a little bit ticklish. I'm like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah.
And then he just takes a full on fucking bite of me.
Oh.
This donkey just straight bites my side.
Yeah.
I let out a yelp. I'm like, fuck! And I just punch this donkey in the face to get it off of me.
Yeah.
And immediately I like look around. I'm like, oh, I hope that rancher didn't see me just knock one of his fucking donkeys back with a punch. And I didn't like run away, but after that I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let these dudes eat.
Yeah.
So like I get over the fence to where like they're not gonna touch me anymore. Lift up my shirt. This motherfucker left a gigantic bruise on me.
No,
like it hurt bad.
Yeah, my mom used to have a horse, and Max never did that to me, but he would do like the nibble stuff. And like donkeys, I know they're smaller than horses, but they have a lot of power. They're like pure muscle, and they don't realize they have power, and they hit a human, and it's very humbling. You're like, I am tiny next to this giant animal that could kick me and kill me instantly. And like a swarm of donkeys, that's like a nightmare. Like those are waking nightmares that I have, like waking up in a field full of donkeys and no one there to help me.
Yeah. It's like something I never really even thought of was like, are one of these dudes going to get like nervous and just rear back and just straight hind leg boot my ass like 40 yards into the dirt? But I mean, it never really happened. And yeah, just the only thing that happened was I got bit and I fought back.
Yeah. Have you seen the Jackass thing? It's in Jackass 3 where they have one of the guys, I think it's Danger Aaron, they have him blindfolded, and they do like a fake pin the tail on the donkey, and they have him walk up to a donkey blindfolded, and it like kicks him in the dick. It's incredible. Like that, yeah, it's one of those things that makes your like stomach turn, but it's pretty damn funny. But I don't think you could get away with Jackass now, could you?
It's hard to say. If it just started nowadays, I think you could get away with it. I don't know if it would have the same success.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Because I think Jackass, also Ryan Dunn, unfortunately, passed away. But I think, yeah, Jackass was one of those things, it was at the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if they made a Jackass 4, you best believe I'm going opening night. Because Jackass is, like, it's two of my favorite things. It's movies and fucking with people. And, yeah, actually, I have a story about fucking with people. There was, I don't want to say I almost got into a bar fight, but there was tension to be had in a bar. So, my buddy Sean, who was on the podcast last week, and I went to this bar I almost said the town that I live in the town that I live in. And it's not, there's a few bars in the town that I live in, but we went to one, and they have this, I drove, so I literally just got a water, and I wanted to go there because they have this really good pesto flatbread. Like, really good. And they have this super good artichoke dip. It's like, super good. Like, I will go out of my way to get it. So, I went there, and they have this new, like, jukebox style thing on the wall, and there's an app you can use to log in with it, and then you can like, it's like $5, and you can play like 5 different songs, and you can like put more money in your card, and then it connects to Spotify, so you pick songs and it'll put it next on the queue, so it's like a shuffle system. And a lot of bars apparently have this system. I will say, I mean, I can say the system out loud because apparently a lot of bars have it. Let me look. It is called Touch Tunes. That's the company that does it.
Okay.
So the guy at the bar, we first got there, and it like the guy kept playing the band. He was playing Mastodon, Lamb of God, and Slipknot. So metal, like death metal, like screamo stuff. And that's not really my taste. I have nothing against it, but it's not something I would choose to listen to. Kind of like country music. It's not something I would choose to listen to, but I guess if it's on, whatever. So he did that, and my buddy Sean and I were like, which guy do you think it is? I'm like, it's very obviously that guy. And he was wearing like a cardigan, so I'm like, it's that guy. He's wearing a bunch of rings. He had like pinky ring, ring here, ring on the middle finger, ring on the forefinger. It's that guy. So I thought it'd be really funny to put on Celine Dion. So first, I warmed up to it. I played The Strokes. I played You Only Live Once by The Strokes. And like, okay, it's still rock. It's a little softer, but still rock. And then there's another like couple next to them that were playing like kind of like 80s, 90s kind of hits. And like they were kind of going back and forth. But this guy had like 6 songs that were death metal. But you could pay extra money to jump the list and be the first one. So I thought it'd be cool to put Send Me On My Way by Rusted Roots. And then I just kept getting progressively farther from metal. And I put on Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On, the song from Titanic, because who doesn't love that song? Apparently he didn't. So I got maybe the dirtiest look I've ever gotten from someone in my entire life. And I'm like, Sean, it's time for us to leave. Because Sean weighs 150 pounds and is like 5'6". So he's not going to help me. And I have a busted up leg, so that's not going to help me. So we got in my car and left. Because I feel like if I kept putting on Celine, we would have had an issue. Because this guy was like mean mugging me. Like, really, like, he was like staring at me. So I kept looking down at my phone and looking around. He kept looking at me. Even the bartender kind of addressed it to me. He's like, do you know that guy? I'm like, nope, I don't. And I don't want to. And then last night I went to a bar and a guy had a houseplant. He had a fern. And he said it was his child. And it was a Wednesday night. And this guy was like rolling his face off. He like kept putting the fern up on his face and like rubbing it. He's like, do you guys like my kid? And then me and my buddy Mitchell were it's like a beercade. So it's one of those bars where as long as you have a drink in your hand, all the games are free. So it's a bunch of like arcade games. And yeah, we were like, what the fuck is going on? It's a Wednesday. And then like there's this like these 2 girls who were like just there who like we didn't know. And like he didn't know. And he gave them the house plan. He's like, I would like you ladies to have my child. And then, like, the 2 girls looked at me and Mitchell, who were sitting on, like, a sofa. And they looked at us like, do you know this guy? I'm like, nope, we don't know him. We don't know him. We are not part of the situation. And we are leaving now. Because, like, these 2, like, girls were... This guy's probably around my age. Probably between me and you. He was probably, like, 26, if I had to guess. And these girls were probably in their late 30s. And they're probably just going out for like an after work kind of thing. And I'm just like, nope, not us. We are not part of this weird situation that's going on here. Which is weird. The crowd that you get at a like a beercade is a very strange crowd. Because there's also karaoke night. So that's the thing.
Yeah, you're mixing alcohol, video games, and karaoke. You're going to get a pretty eclectic group of folks there. You
are. And there was a guy who did the Aladdin song, Let Me Show You the World, or whatever the name of that song is. He was an incredible singer. Like actually, like we thought it was the actual song. And then we looked and he was doing it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's so good at singing, like legitimately super good. And we're like, what? What is happening? But yeah, it was really good. And as you know, I don't really drink, but I had a can of wine that was really good. My buddy recommended it to me. He's like, dude, you should try it. It's really good. And I did, and it was really good. And then I had this IPA, and it was like tangerine something, also really good. And I don't really like beer. Like, that's not really my thing. But I just had those 2 drinks because I'm a real party animal. But it was super fun.
Especially an IPA.
Yeah, I know. I'm a real party machine. But I guess I'm at a bar in Lincoln Park in Chicago, so you have to get an IPA, otherwise they kick you out. They're like, you have to get the hipsteriest drink possible. So, and then my buddy got like an anti-hero, which I didn't like. I had like a sip of it. I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. It's too IPA-y and too like bitter and hoppy. I just don't like it. I'm more of like a Guinness person if I'm going to drink a beer. But they didn't have any like Guinness or really like heavy drinks like that. But I really love Guinness. Also because it's a full meal. It's like 8 pieces of bread.
Yeah, I'm a big dark beer fan.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you know, I've had my share of light beers throughout college. I'd rather have something with a little bit more taste and that I can enjoy nowadays.
Yes.
And I don't care if that makes me sound like a douchebag or not. Like,
yeah,
you know, no. If I'm paying for a fucking beer, I'm paying for something that I'm going to enjoy.
Have you, sorry, I'll get close to the mic. Have you been to the Pint?
The Pint.
It's in West Lafayette by Purdue. It's at the bottom of the hill past Triple X.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I have not been there yet. I've been to like 2 bars in Purdue in my entire life. You should go to the Pint. Oh, hey, wait. December 1st, which is a Friday, I'm going to be at Purdue. You should go. Okay. I'll mark my calendar. I'll pawn the kids off on someone.
Yeah, Matt, my old roommate, they're hosting a Christmas party, and they texted me today about it, so I'm going down for that. But if you want to come down like earlier in the day, you live a lot closer than I do. I live like 2 hours away. But you should come down. I'll come down in the morning, and we should go to the Pint because they have beer. They have beer milkshakes, and they have wine smoothies. And the Pint has like 36 different drinks on tap at all times, and they kind of rotate through. But if you get a beer milkshake, you should get like a Guinness or really heavy dark beer because it makes it taste like rum raisin ice cream. And it comes in like a stein, so it's like a big. Or like a growler or whatever. It's like a big, big thing. And I mean, don't drink it quickly. Like you will. Of course. You'll go straight to Vom Town real quick. But I've also had their wine slushies. And it's kangaroo wine or yellowtail. Is that the brand? It's a kangaroo. Yellowtail, yeah. Yeah. It's yellowtail wine. So they have like rosé, they have red, and they have white wine. And it's that. And it's like mixed with strawberry or peach or like watermelon base. And it's like a smoothie or a slush. And it's so good. Like, you'll get messed up on those. But the whole place is BYOB. And there's a really good Indian place next door. And there's, like, a really good, like, Chinese place across the street. And, like, Nine Irish Brothers is, like, across the street as well. So, like, they encourage that you bring food there. And, like, they want you to. It's, like, on the thing. It says BY, like, or BYOF. And, like, other restaurants will deliver to the Pint.
That's cool.
Yeah, so we should totally do that. It's really cool, really fun. And you can get, like, a sampler, so you can get, like, the little baby cups and get, like, a bunch of things. Or you can, like, start really small and, like, work your way to really big ones. And the price is essentially the same. And I know for all of you listening, you guys should go to one of these. They're really cool. I'm not even a drinker, really, and it's super fun. It was one of the things that I wanted to do before I left school because it's one of those kind of like hipstery underground places that's really fun, and it's not like blaring music, but you get to go out with your friends and have some cool food.
I like you've sold me on the not blaring music.
Yeah, the other bars at Purdue West Lafayette's a college town, so the other bars just. Regardless if the music is good or not, usually I like what they're playing, but it's just like so loud. And that makes me sound like an old person, but like in Harry's, the music is so loud you can't hear what like the person next to you is saying. And that's something I really don't like.
And put that on top of, you know, and once the music is loud enough, you're going to have people like screaming over each other. Mm-hmm. So it's just this like escalating cacophony of like noise that is just like, I just came in here to have some conversations and drink some beer.
Yeah.
This is fucking awful.
Yeah, the one thing I like at Harry's, there's only one drink I like there. It's the mint one. It's essentially like a Shamrock Shake with like, I don't know what the...
Booze.
It's Shamrock Shake with booze. And it's all parts booze. It's like, what's like cream alcohol? Like, it's not like White Russian because White Russian is cream. But like the cream base of it is also liquor.
Like Bailey's?
It might be Bailey's, and then it's mint liqueur, so it's like Dr. McGillicuddy's. And then there's another one, so it's 3 parts alcohol, and they put a cherry in it. And it's called a Grasshopper. It's pretty fire, I'm not gonna lie. And they're like $4. And when I graduated, that was like, I'm gonna go to Harry's and just get a bunch of Grasshoppers. But if you drink more than 2 of those, you will probably vomit because it's all sugar and it's all alcohol, and it will sneak up on you.
good combination right there.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where, yeah, it'll mess you up. But Ben, I have a question. So you have kids. You were once a child. What TV shows did you watch as a kid that they may watch? Like, so you can go anywhere from like Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street kid kind of thing to up to like cartoons like Ren and Stimpy kind of thing. Like or like Courage the Cowardly Dog kind of level of kids shows where like you can watch Ren and Stimpy now because there's a lot that you can get out of it if you rewatch it. It's pretty funny. And I mean, personally, I never really watched SpongeBob that much. Wasn't ever really a big fan, so I don't get all the memes. So, but like, yeah, what did you watch as a kid? And is there any crossover with your kids?
There's definitely a few things that cross over, but mainly I was a Nicktoons kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was all about like Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy, Real Monsters, Doug to a lesser extent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, all that stuff was like, a staple of my like television viewing.
Yeah.
As far as like children's programming, I did also watch some like MTV because I was cool.
Yeah.
But as far as the crossover stuff, my kids love The Simpsons, which is like proud parent moment right there. They've watched some Rocko's Modern Life with me. They weren't that into it, which is kind of surprising because they do like that really like kinetic, like a lot of shit happening on screen at once type of animation. Yeah. I guess there's not a whole big crossover section of what I watched and what they do. They've watched a few episodes of Doug and enjoyed that. The main thing I would say is probably The Simpsons that they actually get a lot of pleasure out of, and I'm just like, oh, you kids wait, there's funny shit coming up in this episode.
Yeah, I think, if your kids already enjoy The Simpsons, they'll be successful kids, or they'll be successful people, because I think I first started watching The Simpsons, I was probably 5. I was probably 4 or 5 when I first realized The Simpsons were a thing, and I remember the first episode I ever watched was Who Shot Mr. Burns. I remember that was the first episode I ever saw. Yeah, I think that episode is probably a pretty good one to come in on because it's a lot more of a cinematic episode than most, I would say. I don't know, would you call it a cinematic episode, or it's more like narratively driven because it's a 2-parter?
Yeah, I'd say narratively driven is the more apt description, and it was definitely like an event episode for the series. Like they hyped it big time, and probably even more so like the second part because they took all summer. It was like advertised like people. I think people could like even participate and like vote, like call in here if you think it was Mo or Barney or something like that. I don't even remember. I couldn't pinpoint like a specific episode that I came in on. For me, The Simpsons has just always been there. Yeah,
I think it's one of those shows that it's one of those things like a music festival or music or The Simpsons can create world peace. Because I think it's one of those things that anyone, no matter who you are, like what walk of life you are, you can understand part of The Simpsons, if not all of it. And it's one of those things that I feel like we should just get all world leaders and all these people together and just show them some Simpsons and some really cool music and have everyone just get along. And I think those are like the pieces of culture, like American culture, as well as there's like a lot of British culture and everything else that we should just have everyone watch as like kids, and then we'll all just get along. We all just get it. And that's my my idea for world peace. This is my proposition for everybody.
Except don't show Australia the episode that makes fun of Australia.
That episode is so funny. Like,
I'm pretty sure they actually got pissed about that.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast and the 2 hosts are Australian. They've mentioned that episode of The Simpsons as like it's like Dick Van Dyke doing the bad British accent in Mary Poppins. They look at it like that. They're like, guys, come on, do your research. Like, it's not like this. And I think that's so funny. Have you ever seen the show The League?
Some of it, not I haven't watched like pretty much most of it. I have not seen.
Okay, I don't know what season it is, but one of the characters, Taco, he goes, I think he like moves to Saudi Arabia for like one episode and becomes a TV star in like Saudi Arabia. In the episode, they show part of the show that he was on in the league, and it's like making fun of like American culture, and he's wearing like a cowboy hat and like an American flag, and has like 2 pistols and just shooting them off. He's like, American pizza, and it's so funny because it's like what another culture potentially could look at our culture and just totally boil it down to like the core root of what it is, and it's like, you have totally gotten this completely wrong. Where it's one of those things where people, I think it's like Europeans in like the 80s thought Americans put ketchup on everything. Like one of those like weird stereotypes. Yeah.
Ketchup's an odd condiment.
I don't like ketchup.
I like it on pretty much burgers, and that's it.
Okay, what is your...
Even then, most time I don't get ketchup on a burger.
What's your favorite, like, okay, we're going to go favorite and then least favorite. If you had a condiment, like the only condiment, like you could put a knife into the like the jar or like a spoon and then like lick the whole thing. Like if you just wanted to do that and you're not, there's no necessary, it's like maybe you're doing it for a sandwich or something. What is the condiment you could put into a jar or whatever and just lick the spoon clean? But you're not getting a full like dollop. It's just like dip it in, take out, and then one of those.
Probably like spicy mustard.
You know what? I was going to say honey.
I like a good deli mustard.
Oh, spicy mustard? I was going to say honey mustard. I'm a big honey mustard guy. I'm weird. I like a little bit of horseradish. Just like a little bit of like horseradish sauce. Like if you mix it with like mustard or if you mix it into another sauce, it'll like amplify that sandwich or that burger that much.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite?
Least favorite condiment? Probably like relish.
Oh, you don't like relish? Oh, I'm a big pickle guy.
I don't do relish.
Dude, I'll eat a whole jar of pickles. I'm disgusting.
I can do like fried pickles.
Dude, fried pickles are delicious, but fried anything is pretty delicious.
Take a pickle and make it as unhealthy as possible.
Yeah. Are you an olive person? Do you like olives?
You know, I've never like fully tried olives, like black or green olives before.
What?
Just because like I don't like the smell. I don't like the smell of like
it's
olive
vinegary
juice.
Yeah.
It's just like...
It's really vinegary and it has that really like what they call a high smell, like that really kind of like piercing sour smell, like that, like ooh, it'll give you Robert De Niro face, like oh, that's really strong. But I love that. I'm also one of the weird people who will drink apple cider vinegar to clear my stomach. Like bitter stuff like that does not affect me. Where most people get like really gross at like salt and vinegar chips, I will dip salt and vinegar chips into vinegar.
That's fucking gross.
Yes.
I can't even hardly do salt and vinegar chips by themselves.
Like one of my favorite, like it's like an hors d'oeuvre, I guess, or like I'll put it on a sandwich, is green olives with blue cheese stuffed into them. I go crazy for that. It's okay. So, do you like martinis?
If someone places one in front of me, I'll be like, sure.
I love, like, I don't, as I've said on the show, I have epilepsy, guys, so I can't really drink. It will literally give me a seizure. But, like, if I'm going to go, like, sophisticated cocktail, like I'm at, like, a red carpet event and, like, there's a drink, I'll get a dirty martini because I love olive juice. Like, I will drink olive juice. It is a thing my parents have caught me doing, and they're like, you're disgusting. That is the grossest thing ever. You're just drinking salt water.
Pretty sure my dad has straight up like chugged olive juice after all the olives are out of the jar before. Yeah, and I agree with your parents.
I'll do that, or I'll drink pickle juice when I'm done with the pickles.
Pickle juice, I could probably take like a sip of.
Oh, dude, I love that kind of like bitter, salty stuff. But yeah. Okay, I have a question. So actually my least favorite condiment, I hate mayonnaise. I hate mayo. I will, like, at Burger King, like, they put mayo on their stuff. I ask for my stuff without mayo.
I'll do mayonnaise for days.
Oh, dude, you're from Indiana. It's an Indiana thing. I don't know what it is with Hoosiers and liking mayonnaise. It's gross.
It's like we're all fat.
It's like eggs, isn't it? It's like pureed eggs.
Yeah, it's just like, it basically just like fat and eggs.
It's so gross. It's like, it's so bitter. Okay, also another thing I don't like plain yogurt.
I can do some plain yogurt.
I will say this.
I prefer a flavored yogurt.
Yes. I will say this in the most PG-13 or PG way I can. For those of you out there, I am heterosexual. This is a precursor for what I'm about to say. I feel like plain yogurt tastes like male human ejaculate. I don't know what male human ejaculate tastes like, but I feel like it'd be pretty similar because the taste of yogurt or kefir is so bitter and gross, and I like that kind of stuff. It makes me gag. There's very few foods that make me gag. Like, I've eaten like raw anything. I had when you have the squid and it's still moving because you put the salt on it. I've eaten that. That doesn't gross me out. I've eaten like tongue. I've eaten basically whatever, name it. I've probably had it. Kefir will make me gag. And bananas. I don't like bananas.
Bananas. I used to not like bananas, but then I grew up and I'm like, bananas are okay.
What are you saying, Ben?
You're a fucking child. No,
that's probably true. Like, that is a very accurate assessment of this situation. But, dude, bananas are gross. Oh, they're so...
They do have a very unique and odd texture to them.
I don't even know if it's the smell that gets me more than the texture. And those little veiny things. What the hell are those little veiny things in bananas? Those, like, when you peel bananas, same with oranges. You know when you, like, peel an orange and there's, like, those veiny white things that ruin the entire experience? What the hell are those?
Is part of the fruit.
Dude, it's gross. I don't like it. I'm not about it.
My least favorite condiment is definitely Miracle Whip.
You're right. Miracle Whip.
Miracle Whip can go straight to hell.
Miracle Whip is worse than mayonnaise, and mayonnaise is disgusting. What is Miracle Whip?
I don't even know. They consider it like a dressing. Because I think that's what's on the jar when you buy it. But like, I've been burned so many times when, like, I asked for mayo on a sandwich, and it turns out to be fucking Miracle Whip.
Yeah, like, you can tell the difference.
Yeah, and I've never gotten, like, livid with a waiter or waitress or anything like that, because that would just be petty and stupid of me. But I have very, like, seriously asked a waitress to, like, I'm like, ma'am, do you have actual mayonnaise? And she's like, that is mayonnaise. I'm like, no, ma'am, it is Miracle Whip. Yeah. If you don't have just actual mayonnaise, could you please take this bun back and just give me a plain bun?
Yeah, like,
I cannot stand this crap.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Like, I am really polite with waiters and waitresses, but my thing is I don't like cilantro. It tastes like soap. And there have been certain things where I have gotten, and there's been cilantro on it, and I've asked, like, hey, can I have one without cilantro? Or, like, if you're bringing, like it was a taco place, and one of my buddies ordered one, and he's like, hey, we'll switch. Can you just not put cilantro on the one that you're cooking for me? And we switched it through, because cilantro is one of those things, it'll ruin a meal for me, because it tastes like soap.
Yeah, too much cilantro will ruin something for me. Like, it's got to be very light. Yeah,
cilantro is gross. Bananas are gross, and cottage cheese. I've talked about cottage cheese on the show, and I hate cottage cheese.
Love me some cottage cheese.
It has that vinegary thing, but not. It's like it's sour milk, dude. It's gross.
So good, protein packed.
And my mom will eat sour cream. Like, she'll, like, put sour cream in chili and stuff, or in other recipes, and lick the spoon, and it makes me. I think the main thing is I don't like dairy. I think that's what we've established.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
I don't like dairy. I don't drink milk. I very rarely eat cheese. I think besides, like, if you have, like, Chicago-style pizza or potentially pasta, but I don't even really put Parmesan on my pasta. I don't eat cheese. Like, it's not something that I, like, have, or if I have a sandwich, I will substitute cheese out for something else. I know, it's weird. Like,
very weird.
I think we've come to the realization on this podcast, I don't like dairy. Aren't eggs dairy, though? Are they?
No, that's poultry.
Oh. See, I'm really good. I was clearly in 4-H, as you can tell.
I was never in 4-H. I didn't give a shit about any of that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, animals grow on trees. I've seen Food Inc., I know, and I'm one of the weird people who will watch a hot dog documentary and be like, a hot dog sounds really good right now.
Fuck yeah. Good all beef Frank.
Oh, done. Okay. Actually, is a hot dog a sandwich or a taco? And is a taco a sandwich?
It's neither. A hot dog is its own thing. A hot dog is a hot dog.
Is a burger a sandwich?
Of course.
Okay. But a hot dog is like a taco because it's like, it is a connected bun type like thing. Like a taco is a connected piece of carbohydrate, and you put your toppings or your ingredients inside of it, and it holds it like a taco or a bun, and then you eat it that way.
I would differentiate a taco and a hot dog, saying that tacos require shells, and a hot dog is just a bun.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
There's that density in the bread.
Okay. What's your opinion of corn dogs? What's your stance?
I'm down for corn dogs.
Corn dogs are pretty dope. But only mustard on a corn dog.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Well, okay. As a Chicagoan, you don't put ketchup on anything.
You get that fucking shit away from my hot dog.
Yeah. I was going to this last weekend. Actually, the night we recorded that podcast, I had to do the like improv one and be like, oh shit, I gotta put this out. We were going to go to Gene and Jude's, which is a pretty famous hot dog spot in the city. It's kind of like one of those, if you go to Chicago, you should go to Gene and Jude's. And my buddy Sean was like, oh, or maybe it was DeAndre. It was one of them. We're like, I'm going to go pick up ketchup at a different restaurant and bring it to Gene and Jude's because they don't even offer ketchup there. And I'm like, dude, no. And he's like, I love ketchup. I'm like, okay, just imagine the fact that there's ketchup on it. Do not do that. Yeah, like I think if you ask for ketchup at Gene and Jude's, they're like, no, go away. There's no ketchup here. And there's a place, I think it's in Boston, where the first hamburger was invented, or they say where the first hamburger was invented, that they don't have condiments there.
Just straight up meat, bun, and cheese?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they season the burgers and stuff, but they do not have condiments because they think it ruins the integrity of the sandwich, I guess. Which I guess I understand to some extent.
That's a pretty, orthodox hamburger stance right there.
Yeah. Am I the only one that when I put stuff in a toaster, I turn the toaster sideways? Do you do that? Okay, let me explain.
What?
Okay, when I'm toasting something in a toaster, you know how when you usually put stuff in a toaster, you load it from the top and the piece of bread or Pop-Tart is in the two slots that are parallel to each other?
Yes.
When I will use a toaster, I turn the toaster onto its side so the slots are facing me, so I can insert my bread or Pop-Tart into it like a shelf, and then when it's done, it'll push it out towards me so I don't have to put my fingies in there and burn them.
I've never seen anybody do that. Most modern toasters that I've dealt with, the little plunger that you push down to initiate the toasting, you can actually lift it up as well so that you don't have to put your fingies down in there to get burned.
Well, I turn the toaster sideways, so that's what I do. But I've learned a new thing. I don't know if I'm a genius because of this, but I really love tacos. I think that's like my healthy cheat meal when I'm home because I try not to eat a whole lot of carbs because carbs aren't good for you. But I've been doing the sideways toaster method with tortillas, like corn tortillas, and you just put them in there for like 10 seconds because they're really thin. So when the toaster closes, it's not going to clamp on it.
Yeah.
So you do that and you for like 10 seconds and it heats up your tortilla instead of turning on the stove and doing them on there. Works perfectly. So for all you taco lovers, give it a shot. But turn your toaster on your side because if you put a tortilla in a toaster and it's standing up like how a toaster should be, your tortilla will collapse in on itself and you'll have to put your fingies in there and you're going to burn them. So, PSA from Russell from See What Sticks, don't burn your fingies.
Don't electrocute yourself trying to jab a fork into your toaster trying to dig out that tortilla.
Oh my god, I almost electrocuted myself last week. I thought I unplugged my toaster because I had to go in there with a pair of tongs because the bread I was using is the whole grain bread and it kind of falls apart. And I apparently unplugged the pencil sharpener, not the toaster. Thank God I didn't electrocute myself. But I checked, I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't unplugged. I just got very lucky. But yeah, oh man, I did that. And then I I was showering recently, and I got out of the shower, and I have an electric toothbrush, and I plugged it in, and it like sparked. I'm like, oh shit, I could have just electrocuted myself there. I think it's like fate being like, dude, stop. Like, you're playing with fire here, or electricity. But yeah. I think the thesis of that...
Electrocuted through your teeth.
Yeah, I think the thesis of all this is I'm an idiot, and I am like... It's like death is like one step behind me the whole way, and I'm Mr. Magooing my way through life right now.
Death is waiting for you to get into a Final Destination situation, because he's like, man, I'm going to fuck this kid up. Like, once he cheats death once, I'm going to drop a large-ass piece of wood on him or something. Yeah,
okay. On Final Destination stuff. So, actually 10 years ago, we had our house, part of it redone. We put an extension on our house. And there was scaffolding in, like, the back of the house, because they're building up in the back of the house that I'm in now. And my dad it was my car, I guess, after my dad's. It was a gold Chrysler Pacifica. And he had it parked in our driveway because there's construction in the back, so you can't pull all the way in. There's like a dumpster and stuff. And he was in the car, and when he got out, it got really windy, and part of the scaffolding fell onto the car. And if he was in it, that could have been bad news. And it's one of those, like, Dad, if you were 5 minutes difference, like, that could have been really, really bad.
Oh, yeah.
Because it fell over the walkway to get into my back door as well. Like, that's the way it fell. I'm like, holy shit. Like, it probably wouldn't have killed you, but you would have definitely broken something.
Yeah, some serious bodily injury from scaffolding falling on you.
Yeah, it was like, the flooring on scaffolding are like wood, like 2x4s.
Yeah.
Those, like kind of slid out and down and over.
Oof.
Yeah, from the second story of our house. It was, I remember that very vividly. Yeah, that was nuts. That's one of those, like, you just got lucky because you were at the right place at the right time. Have you ever been in one of those where, like, if you were 5 minutes later, something horrible could have happened?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Surely something has happened that I just don't know about.
Yeah.
Someone running a red light, or like a fire breaking out somewhere. I don't know, but nothing that I've ever, like, witnessed, like, myself being in a position where, like, I could have been killed.
Yeah. I know. Oh, hey, this is a thing for all of you See What Sticks listeners. Ben, next week is Thanksgiving. And I think, we usually record. Actually, Thanksgiving's a week from today. So, this is just like, I'm going to say this out loud. Next week, would you want to do a Thanksgiving episode and upload it on Thanksgiving?
We can do that.
Yeah. This is just for all of you out there. I think next week we'll probably do favorite Thanksgiving movies would be kind of hard, but do you want to do favorite things associated with Thanksgiving, including families getting into fights on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, favorite foods.
Yeah. Favorite
trimmings. Yeah,
all that, and least favorite things. Because I have some least favorite things about Thanksgiving as well. Even though I love Thanksgiving, it is one of my favorite holidays. Because, not just because you're with family and that's fun, but it's because it's a holiday based around eating and sleeping.
Exactly.
So, it's like, it's the American way. And I almost asked the dumbest question in the universe today. So, for those of you not in the United States listening, Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday of every November. That's when Thanksgiving is. I almost asked my dad today, because I was working on the video that I was talking about earlier. I'm like, hey, Dad, what day of the week is Thanksgiving this year? And my dad was like, there are no dumb questions, but then there's a question like that. And I'm like, yeah, that makes me really think that how the hell did I make it through college with, like, thoughts like that rattling around in my big dumb brain? But Ben,
oof, yeah, I don't know how I would have responded.
Okay, if your kids asked you that, that's logical. But your kids are also kids. They're not like a grown-ass person with, like, a job and everything who asks stupid questions. So
we all have those moments.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But Ben, do you Jesus H Christ, I've lost the ability to speak. I think because it's late. Ben, we were talking about drinks earlier. What is your favorite mixed drink?
Mixed drink. I don't do a lot of mixed drinks. However, I do appreciate a good rum and Coke, or a Jack and Coke. A lot of Coke based drinks.
Oh, okay.
But also, a good screwdriver. I can do. I'm mainly just like a beer or like a straight or a straight whiskey person.
Interesting. I don't like whiskey. That's something I tried whiskey for the first time recently, like real whiskey. I do not like it.
What kind of whiskey?
It was not Irish whiskey. It was like Tennessee whiskey that my buddy Sean brought back from Tennessee, and I did
Jack
not
Daniels.
Like it. Yeah, it's like
something similar.
Yeah, it was like something similar to that. I'm like, ooh, I do not like this.
Yeah, Tennessee whiskey, bourbons, they are a different sort of monster from like Scotch or Irish whiskey. You know, there's similarities between them all because they are all whiskey. But like I do prefer Irish whiskeys.
Okay.
And I can do some bourbons. Like there's a brand of bourbon called Four Roses. That's very good. It's pretty smooth.
Oh, okay.
Jameson is incredibly smooth for an Irish whiskey.
Interesting.
Scotch is where you start to get into the pricier stuff, especially if you want good Scotch.
Yeah, those are the things where like you can pay hundreds of dollars for bottles of that. Since I already said it on the show, I'm not really a big drinker, but I tried a Black Russian. I like White Russians because of the Big Lebowski, and they are good. It's just like it's coffee and cream and like chocolate, so obviously. But I tried a Black Russian recently. It's pretty smooth. I felt like I don't know. I felt like one of the Rat Pack or something drinking a Black Russian. I'm like, this is smooth. I like that. I like Bloody Marys. I think that's like if I'm going to order like a drink at a bar and it's not like 2 a.m, I'll order a Bloody Mary because I like pickles and hot sauce and stuff because I'm gross.
I like Long Island iced teas as well.
Long Island iced teas, I don't think I've ever had one. I've had sips of them, but I don't think I've ever ordered one and like had one.
Right. It's kind of like a special, maybe not a special thing to get, but it's kind of like you really like have to go into a place with the intent of like getting a Long Island iced tea.
Yeah,
it's not something you just go up and like spontaneously order.
Yeah, because it's all parts alcohol, isn't it?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, it's like 15 different kinds of liquor, and it's just like have fun erasing your memories.
Yeah. Put into a big old elongated novelty cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically like saddling up for an experience.
I also really do like, if we're going to drinks, I like mojitos, because it's like mint, and mojitos are good. I like Moscow mules. Not as much as mojitos. But I really like margaritas and not blended margaritas. The ones that are like tequila. It's like tequila, triple sec, lime, and that's it. Like the like margarita that you would get if you went to like Mexico and ordered one just like at a restaurant in the middle of Mexico, what they would give you.
Like on the rocks and not a blended one.
Yeah, on the rocks. I don't know why I couldn't think of that term for a sec. But those I really like. Also because in general, like if I'm doing... like if I have like liquor ever, like at like college parties or whatever, that would have been like tequila, also because tequila makes everyone really sick except me for some reason. Probably because I don't really drink very much. But people are like, tequila's so bad. I'm like, it doesn't bother me for some reason.
I've never been a big fan of tequila. Just doesn't sit very well with me.
Yeah, maybe it's because I've never drank a whole lot. I think that's why. I think my results are varied because of that. I've never been personally victimized by alcohol, so I think that's why I'm so like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. I like this. And then you talk to people who are like, nah, man, there's this one time I had tequila, and then I woke up in a different state, and I didn't have pants. And I'm like, oh shit, son. Yeah.
I didn't have a different state naked experience or anything like that, but apparently I had one night where I was double fisting like Captain Morgan for quite a good amount of time during the night, and I don't remember much of anything from that night, but I was apparently quite the goofster.
Did you ever play Edward 40 Hands?
Yes.
Okay, I've never played it, but I have, how would I say this the nicest way? I have definitely aided in the process of having other people play it, because there was a Halloween party, not this year, the year before, and the guy hosting is like, dude, I'll play Edward 40 Hands if you go buy 40s, and I'm like, deal. And he did it. And we weren't even nice. We didn't even leave his thumbs undone. We we duct taped his thumbs in.
Have you ever done a power hour?
I have done a power hour. I did a power hour at Jake's at Purdue.
Okay.
I did that right when I turned 21.
Well, I guess what was the setup for your guys' power hour?
So,
like, what were rules, and like how did you go about doing everything?
I made a terrible mistake because I did it with wine. Oof. Yeah, I didn't realize what was involved, but it was, you take a shot every minute for an hour, so you take 60 shots, or you take a sip. You take a sip or a shot depending on what you were drinking every minute for an hour, and the song would change.
Okay. Yeah, that's essentially. Back when I was at Ball State, I had this program on my laptop that integrated with iTunes to where it would like play this little sound clip of Homer saying like he's only had like 12 beers at some point, and like it would basically have your iTunes playlist on random, and every time 60 seconds, it would play that little like jingle of Homer, and on to the next song, and we did a bunch of power hours.
That's awesome.
In college.
How?
But it was always a shot of beer.
Yeah. How many beers is 60 shots?
Basically, it could be like a 6-pack.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's why I made a huge mistake with wine. I couldn't finish. Like I probably had like 3 glasses of wine worth of stuff. So I probably made it for like 25 minutes. And then I was like, nope, I cannot do this. Like, this is a bad idea. And that's before I actually got diagnosed with epilepsy, guys. I got diagnosed with epilepsy while I was in college. So, yeah. So, I'm not just being a hypocrite. But, yeah. No, that's a lot. I remember my old roommates always did power hours. Like, every party, they'd be like, dude, we're going to do a power hour, and it's going to be so fun. And I'm like, bro, you know what you're doing? You're ruining music for everyone, because every minute you're going to change songs, and you don't have a good playlist. So it's going to go from like hip-hop to EDM, then to like 80s, and then it's going to go to 90s, and then it's going to go back to hip-hop, and it's not good. Like, if you're going to do it, make a good playlist. And like,
Agreed.
Yeah, like that's the key to a power hour. Have a whole group, have everyone do it at the same time, or have a really good playlist. Otherwise, everyone who's not doing the power hour will hate you. But Ben, what I'm titling this episode, and for everyone listening, I'm titling this episode Liquor, Nipples, and Video Games.
Perfect.
Yeah, that is the name of this episode. So, for all of you listening, that's what you're listening to, is Liquor, Nipples, and Video Games. Because that's what we talked about on here.
You clearly know what you're getting into.
Yeah, you know that you're in for a party when the title of the thing that you're listening to is that. And I hope, if you're listening to this, you're not at work and your boss walks by you and you're listening to this episode and your boss is like, what the heck are you listening to?
If you're listening to anything at work, have your earbuds in. It's common courtesy.
Yeah, have your earbuds in. I worked at an internship at a film festival place, and the guy who worked across from me, who was another intern, always listened to podcasts and didn't have headphones. And so he played them on he was trying to be considerate and played them on low volume. And I always offered him, like, dude, do you want a pair of headphones? Like, I have a pair in my bag and I'm just listening to my earbuds. He's like, nah, man, I'm good. Thanks, so. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to hear your fucking shit. I'm doing this to be polite, but take the hint and put on headphones, because I don't want to listen to what you're doing while I'm trying to review movies. That's the last thing I want to do. is hear like some bad stand-up comedy or hear songs I don't want to listen to while I have to like analyze a film. Yeah. Be considerate, everyone. And don't answer your phone in an Uber, please. Especially if it's an Uber pool. I had that experience yesterday. It wasn't cool.
Was the person like loud and obnoxious about it?
Oh my god. They had their headphones in, their earbuds in, and they were doing it, but they were just like laughing on the phone like, oh my god, isn't that so funny? It's like if I was recording this podcast with you on a train. Same kind of dynamic where everyone else is like, dude, shut the fuck up. And yeah, if you're ever in an Uber or a Lyft or even a taxi, don't answer your phone while you're in there, or do a quick one like, hey, I'm in an Uber, can I call you back in a little bit? Unless someone's dying, of course, but then why are you in an Uber? Unless you're getting Uber to the hospital, I guess. But still.
And also, just text.
Yeah, just text.
You weirdos.
Yeah, what is your opinion of FaceTime, Ben? Because I FaceTimed you today, not for the podcast, because Ben and I are friends outside the show.
It has its advantages and uses.
Yes, it does. I find it weird when people I don't talk to very consistently will FaceTime me instead of normal call me or text me. Like, I'll just get a FaceTime from someone out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, hey. Like, what's up? It's just really weird. It's almost like someone knocking on your front door to come talk to you.
Yeah.
It's very strange. And, like, I get why, because it's more personal and you can get, like, more across. But still, it's like, dude, chill out. That's pretty aggressive. But, yeah, I think, Ben, is that the show?
I think that's the show.
Ben, do you want to do that? Wait, I'll say bye. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening. There's a website for the show now. It's Russell Mullane Media /podcasts. It will be linked below. Please go visit the thing. You can see more about us and find other ways to listen to the show. Also, we're on iHeartRadio now. So if you have iHeartRadio, that's how you're listening to this. And if you're on iHeartRadio, hello. I recognize that you listen to this. Thank you for listening. But thank you so much. I'm Russell. This is See What Sticks. Ben, you do the sign off.
As always, thank you all so much for listening, tuning in every week. Or if this is your first time tuning in, hey, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. Thank you all. This is See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I am Ben. Hope to hear from you all, or hope to that was terrible. Hope you guys all come tune in next week. Bye.